I'm worried about how competitive it is going to be. I'm worried about the essence of competition, for crying out loud. I might not even have it.
This is what Kevin Durant was doing to people. When the Golden State Warriors acquired Kevin Durant, it was as if the basketball world momentarily froze. Everybody had an opinion. There would be a bunch of articles and segments about how Kevin Durant was ruining the game of basketball and how the Golden State Warriors were now this unbeatable force. And well, to an extent, they were right. Not about ruining the game, but about the other part. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, KD, and an incredible core. Yeah, I mean, that was absurd. I still have nightmares about that Warriors team to this day. This dynamo of a team would go on to win 2 championships together, and then the injuries would become overwhelming and Kevin Durant would decide to leave. With Kevin Durant's departure, the disconnect between him and Draymond would continue to come to light, as would his true feelings about the Warriors system. Here's a reminder that in 2019, Durant said that the motion offense we run in Golden State only works to a certain point. We can totally rely on our system for maybe the first 2 rounds, then the next 2 rounds we're going to have to mix in individual play. We've got to throw teams off because they're smarter in that round of the playoffs. So now I have to dive into my bag deep to create my own stuff off the dribble, ISOs, pick and rolls, more so than let the offense create points for me. Curry would respond to this with the sentiment that he was indifferent about the plays, but at the end of the day, they won. To quote Curry, "We all want to play ISO ball at the end of the day in some way, shape, or form, but I'd rather have some championships too." When this dropped, people were basically saying that this was Curry's way of politely saying to screw off. Now, I don't know if Curry was doing all of that, but at this point in time, it was very clear that Steph was starting to grow a little frustrated. When Kevin Durant was a Warrior, it was like no matter what he did, it would never be enough. It felt as if he wasn't only battling opposing defenses, but also all of the narratives that came with him signing in Golden State.
Stephen A., the news again coming in moments ago, Kevin Durant heading to the Golden State Warriors. How are you viewing this move from Durant?
Well, I'm viewing it as the weakest move I've ever seen from a superstar.
One of the biggest narratives that existed back then and has still followed Durant to this day is that though KD is one of the best forwards to play the game of basketball, he just might not be that guy. To make things all the more confusing but more clear at the same time, if that makes any sense, in the wise words of Charles Barkley, Kevin Durant is not a bus driver, he's a bus rider.
I try to tell y'all, all these bus riders, they don't mean nothing to me. If you ain't driving the bus, don't walk around talking about you a champion. Now, what was happening when he was driving the bus?
He lost in the finals.
Yeah, okay, he did.
Now, before anybody gets mad at me, I don't agree with Charles Barkley, though I do understand where he was coming from. But like we can all imagine, Kevin Durant didn't. Kevin Durant talked about Chuck's comments on his podcast. He said that bus riders, bus drivers, what does that even mean? That's a bunch of crap you just make up. Like, I ain't did anything before I went to Golden State. I had shoes, I had MVPs before I met these guys. Y'all just hating on the God. Then you say I won't get respect from the legends. Like who? Because every time I run into a legend, I get nothing but love. Go do your research, fam. I've been this. Guys, please let me know what you think of KD's response in the comments below. Really interesting quote from Kevin Durant. I don't like everything that was said, but an interesting quote nonetheless. The way KD sees things sometimes is very wild to me. He's a very knowledgeable guy, but then he says things like he felt like the Warriors were underdogs when he signed with them. Bro, the Warriors were so good that people hated them for just being too good. With all the criticism surrounding Kevin Durant, the Brooklyn Nets getting sent home in 4 games wouldn't really help his case. Yeah, the Nets weren't 100% and there were a million different factors, but there's no excuse to not take one game versus Boston. Not to undermine Boston's success and how good they were, but come on, man, you have to get one game. Even Jokic and the Nuggets were able to steal one versus Golden State. And in my opinion, they almost got 2. Somebody remind me who the second best player for the Nuggets was in that series again. Also, Draymond shining more light on why Steph doesn't have more finals MVPs. also wouldn't do any favors for KD.
Kevin Durant was absolutely incredible in those finals runs. As you know, You watched it. We all watched it. Kevin Durant was absolutely insane. Steph Curry got double teamed probably 7 times the amount that KD did in a given series. So when you watch those games and you say, his numbers could be a little down, he's facing a double team. And by the way, this isn't a double team from the Orlando Magic. This is a double team from a team that's playing in the finals, which we know if you're in the finals, you're going to have a good defense. These are real double teams. This ain't some team that's throwing together a game plan the night before and then rolling their players out there that can't play half dead. This isn't that.
Right.
This is elite teams throwing elite defenders at guys.
This clip actually started to do numbers on social media, and I guess it would make its way to KD because KD would respond and say, from my view of it, this is 100% false. Draymond would disagree, saying you have to learn to listen to full takes and not snippets before getting baited into tweeting, champ. This exchange was pretty comical to me, and honestly, maybe I'm tripping, but I felt like it summed up Kevin Durant's Warrior days well. Phenomenal player, immense needle mover, but also somebody that benefited from playing alongside great players in a great system while having some philosophical differences. Also, I mean, Draymond and KD bumped heads a lot. I don't think I need to take us back to Dre's suspension and reports of Dre saying that we won without you leave. Unfortunately, rumors, criticism, and drama isn't anything new for Kevin Durant. I'm not saying that anything is his fault, just so far, there's been at least a little controversy. We all know the Kevin Durant drama has been one of the hottest topics of this offseason, and how could it not be? Kevin Durant is one of the best players in the game. While there have been a ton of Kevin Durant rumors, there was one rumor that really stood out to me, to the point where I was like, wait, what? Are you sure? And that's the rumor of him returning to Golden State. There have been quite a few reports on this topic, but I'm going to highlight the one from Windhorse that came July 13th. To quote Windhorse, there's legitimate sources in the league telling me that it's a discussion. First off, the Warriors always believe in open throttle. The Warriors have shown they don't care what they spend. This has been a discussion inside the Warriors organization. Steph Curry's been asked about it, and Curry gave a non-answer, but he didn't shut it down. He didn't say no shot. This brings us to the question, would the Golden State Warriors trading for Kevin Durant even be worth it? The Golden State Warriors are the 2022 NBA champs. They are loaded with young talent. They beat the Ben Simmons allegations and have not mortgaged the future at all. Joe Lacob has repeatedly talked about how happy he is to be set up for the long term, even throwing some shade at teams who went all in but are now paying the unfortunate price. This offseason, he said that everyone wanted us at the beginning of the year to trade all of those young players and these draft choices and to go get one more guy, one more established over 30 kind of star. I know what we did was a little bit risky, but I believed, and Bob Myers believed, that if we were going to win this year, how far we were going to go was going to be determined by how good Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green were. Obviously the rest of the guys too, but those three, that's where the money is. So at the end of the day, what we don't want to do, the one thing that I cannot and will not stand for, is not competing for championships. I don't want to go off a cliff like other teams do when they're all in, like really all in. They got no young players, no draft choices. I just don't think that's a good strategy. These are heavy words coming from the same person that said, I'm only about one thing, winning and winning championships. Jerry Buss, I look up to him. 33 years of ownership, 16 finals. So that 50% rate, I don't know if we can continue that, but I'm sure going to try. That's my goal. I don't know about you guys, but to me, that doesn't exactly sound like somebody that wants to trade for Kevin Durant. If you were guaranteed to win next year's championship, I want to know if you guys would make a trade for KD. Maybe this is a bad take, I don't know. But if I'm Golden State, I'm 100% staying the course. Not that they ever needed to, but they just proved that they could win again without KD. Though some of their stars are getting older, their young players should only be getting better, and continuity does go a long way in today's NBA. Oh, and by the way, a lot of their young players also just got playoff and championship experience. Warrior fans, you guys are quite literally living a dream. It appears that Lacob and Myers are on the same page, suggesting that the team is out of the Kevin Durant sweepstakes. To quote the Warriors GM Bob Myers, "I like our team and where it's at. I want to give the guys a chance to do it again." Curry would also chime in saying, "You know how quickly things can change, but I like where we're at a lot." Like Steph said, it's the NBA and anything can happen, but in this case I would be very surprised if the Warriors made a move for KD, all things considered. Apparently the market for Durant has not been what the Nets envisioned, according to Woj. Woj said that the Kevin Durant situation is unique because his price is so high that nobody can afford to pay it. Because if you execute a trade that makes your team weaker, then the point of you calling to acquire Kevin Durant is failed. Mind you that this is initially what we said when all of these rumors started. KD is amazing, but at 33 years old, there's no shot I'm giving the Brooklyn Nets what they want right now. I've seen reports that say things like Scotty Barnes is a starting point and that they want Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns. Now, maybe I give the Nets what they want if there was another big name free agent that would be willing to come and team up with Durant after the trade, like Kawhi and PG did. But as of right now, that's not exactly the case. Ben Steinauer of Sports Illustrated said that in the supply and demand world, two things usually happen. One is the price either gets lowered or it comes off the market. So right now what we have is everybody waiting for the price to get lowered as the Nets mull the decision of taking him off the market. As of right now, as I put my ear to the ground in the NBA, I'm not hearing anything changing as far as the demand phase of this process. Again guys, it's the NBA and anything can happen, but honestly, I'd be pretty shocked if Kevin Durant ended up on the Golden State Warriors again. Let me know what you guys think of everything down in the comments below. Clicking the video on the screen right now is a great way to support my channel. I'm GETLIKECOOP, bringing you guys the scoop until our next upload.